You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
LSU, Baylor, Texas Bowl, Houston, 2:30 p.m. Central, New Year's Eve. What are we watching? How do we think the game goes? A pick and prediction. Let's dive right into it. So, the way I've kind of started to view the bowl practices and the bowl game are a mini spring camp. You get 14 or 16, however so many practices in the bowl. You can bring new guys in, like DJ Pickett's here, Damian Shanklin. Like, all those guys are here practicing with the team. They're in Houston with the team. You can bring all those guys in, go through. It's a chance for guys to really, because you have an exodus of players. Like, it's a mini spring camp, and guys can go in there, fight for roles, start to take the next step, and then you play what is ultimately a glorified exhibition. The only difference is it counts against your record, and you're playing it against a team other than yourself. But we're all aware that's what bowl games have become. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the bowl games have not been entertaining this year. They have been. You've seen some really good football, and that's awesome to see. But bowl games do not carry the same meaning that they have. It's a mini spring camp, and I love that. So, in keeping with that theme, the one thing I'm fired up to see is all the young guys. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, specifically with a guy like Coen Echols, specifically with Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears getting run at safety and star in this game. And that's ultimately, first and foremost, what I'm fired up for. The young guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that you got so many veterans playing in this game on defense. You're going to need them. Baylor's really good at moving the football and putting it in the end zone. You're going to need those veteran guys. But to have a chance to see a guy like Deshaun Spears really get some extended run. With Sage Ryan in the portal and off to Ole Miss, Jordan Gilbert will play, but you're going to need somebody else back there at safety. Deshaun Spears probably going to get a little good run there. If not him, Javian Toviano. Those two are going to be interchangeable. And the sample size on him is so small. But you look at Toviano, that's a former 5-star. That's a former 5-star that LSU's moved around plenty. They put him at cornerback. Now they finally got him settled at safety. All right, let's see what you got. Deshaun Spears, number 3 safety in the country in 2023 when he came out. Right down the road in Denham. Played a lot early in this season. Played in every game for LSU. Just saw the reps dwindle, but played in multiple different positions. Okay, let's see what you got. Talked earlier about, man, he feels like one that has to hit. Not to put added pressure on the young man, but he feels like one that has to hit just because of how highly ranked he was coming out of high school, because he's from right down the road, because your depth at safety, while you have bodies, you're looking for that next star. Deshaun Spears really stands out as the guy who could be that next star. So yeah, I'm fired up to see that guy. And I'll be watching closely to see how it goes for him and Toviano. On the defensive line, man, it's great. You got Swinson and Jones playing. That's awesome. Paris Shand, that's great. I can't wait to see Dom McKinley. Do you remember the Dom McKinley we left off on at the end of the season? He had 2 sacks against Oklahoma. He was playing his best football. It's a guy who suffered through injury early, had to fight to get on the field. You finally saw him against UCLA. I think on his first play, he sacked Gravers of UCLA. And he continued to get better and better. That's another former 5-star that you expect to be one of the next greats at LSU. You get to see him basically for a full game. Hell yeah. Ahmad Bro, same thing. Gabe Relaford, same thing. There's no Deshaun Womack. Gabe Relaford's going to get plenty of run at defensive end in this game. And he can play inside. All 3 of those guys proved they belonged already this year. And at a big point in the season, too. When you lost Jacoby and Guillory, it looked bleak up front. And it ended up not being bleak in large part because of those 3 freshmen. So, yeah, now you get to see them with even, double-digit more practices under their belt and in a live game. Sure, give me all of that. I'm here for it. Wide receiver is incredibly interesting to me in this game. There is no Kyron Lacey. There is no C.J. Daniels. There is no Mason Taylor. You get Aaron Anderson, that's huge. But that's still 3 of your 4 leading receivers gone, not playing in this game. Xavier Thomas will take on a bigger role. I'm fired up to see that. If y'all listen to LSU Daily, you know how much I've been clamoring for Xavier Thomas to just get the ball in his hands more. If you don't listen to LSU Daily, you should. Please go subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Anytime Xavier Thomas touches the ball, he has the ability to hit his head on the goalpost. So, yeah, give that. I can't wait to watch him. Chris Hilton finally looks like he's right. That gives you another ability to stretch the field. Remember the last time we saw Chris Hilton? Same thing we talked about with Dominic McKinley. Remember the last time we saw Chris Hilton? He looked like Hilton from the bowl game against Wisconsin, not Hilton against Texas A&M. Okay, he's playing in this game. Tells me, guess he's long for LSU. Can this finally be the jumping off point for me? I'm here for that. I know he's not necessarily a young guy, but, not as experienced. You get what I'm going for there. Here for all of that. And then there's the offensive line. We talked about this a little bit earlier when we mentioned what Brian Kelly had to say in his final media availability about the line. You're missing 3 starters. And Miles Frazier will play out of position. This will be the first time, I'm guessing, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption, a pretty safe guess, that these 5 players have played together in a game. But I'm fired up to see a lot of them, especially Coen Echols. Coen Echols is going to rotate in with Bo Bordelon. You get another look at Paul Mubenga. Tyree Adams should be fully healthy now. Remember how high they were on Tyree Adams coming into this season. He was your 6th guy at every position. Every position. He was literally your 6th offensive lineman to go in there. Anyone got hurt, he was next up. And when he went down, that hurt LSU. So, yeah, I'm fired up to see Tyree Adams, especially now that he's probably healthy and ready to go. Paul Mubenga's had double-digit more practices under his belt to get ready. Coen Echols, you mean the former high 4-star who you flipped from A&M? Yeah, I want to see that guy in a large sample. Can't wait, as a matter of fact. But in talking about the offensive line is also where we start to kind of talk about the game. Because as mentioned earlier in the show, that is the crux for me in this football game. That is the swing point. That is what this game relies on, is LSU's offensive line. And can they give Garrett Nussmeier time? And can they open up holes in the running game? Let's start with the latter. LSU down the stretch of the season really started to finally take steps forward in the running game. Against Florida, you saw the signs. Against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, it continued. You finally strung it together. That's what you were missing. Now with a long layoff, with a makeshift offensive line, can you continue that success? The guys you were doing it with are there. Caden Durham's there. Josh Williams is there. Can the offensive line, the receivers, the tight ends in tandem with everything that you've lost at those positions, can the running game continue to flourish? That's going to be huge. And if it doesn't, it's going to be a long day for Garrett Nussmeier. You will see LSU's offense become one-dimensional, and we know how that has looked. I understand Baylor's defense, and I'm getting there. The other thing is we've made a lot about this offensive line and the protection that they have given Garrett Nussmeier. Those guys aren't there. When Garrett Nussmeier has been under pressure, that is where some of the shady decision-making is coming, the happy feet, all of those things. When he's had time, he's picked guys apart. He has picked teams apart. They are going to have to give Garrett Nussmeier time, especially on the interior. We talked about this with Zach Smith on Friday, that Baylor pass rush, while their defense has struggled, and the majority of those struggles have been in the secondary, the pass rush has actually been pretty good. You look at Jones, Randolph, and Linton. 10.5 sacks between those 3 guys. If they can take advantage of Tyree Adams on the outside, come up the middle, Garrett Nussmeier could be in for a long day. everything in this game hinges on LSU's offensive line because everyone is expecting this to be a high-scoring game, and so am I. Baylor's defense isn't great. The pass rush is pretty good, but the secondary is atrocious. And while you don't have Kyron Lacey, you don't have C.J. Daniels, you don't have Mason Taylor, and that stings, you got weapons at receiver. LSU always has weapons at receiver. And you have guys capable of making plays. I can't wait to watch Aaron Anderson kind of in that wide receiver one role here. He's not your true number one going forward, but in this game, he will be. And LSU will make plays. That's for sure. On defense, it comes down to one thing. And for me, it's Sawyer Robertson. Again, when we had Zach Olsen, I asked him a blueprint. If Baylor's going to win, a blueprint. And he went straight for Bryson Robinson. Freshman running back, over 1,000 yards. First time in Baylor history for a freshman to go over 1,000 rushing yards. He went to him. Said he's probably got to run for 150 yards, a couple scores. I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's happening. And if you're here on Friday, you know why I'm going to say that. And I've regurgitated this plenty throughout the season anytime I've had access to a microphone. LSU against running backs this year has been really freaking good. The quarterback's been the problem. Since Rocket Sanders went over 100 yards in week 3, LSU has allowed one running back, to go over 100 yards the rest of the season. That was Ulysses Bentley from Ole Miss. And they faced good backs in that stretch. Justice Haynes, Le'Veon Moss. Like, they faced good backs. Stopping the running back hasn't been the problem. The quarterback has. Sawyer Robertson can move. So if you're asking me if I think Bryson Robinson's going to have a great day against LSU, no, I don't think that he will because no other running back has. If he does, yeah, tip your hat. Good on you, man. You're special. You're going to go somewhere. You got a great career ahead of you. Sawyer Robertson is the key. He's very accurate. He protects the football, and he can create when knocked off his spot, and he is mobile. He's dealt with a few nagging injuries, but he's going to be healthy and ready to play in this game. LSU has got to do a good job defending Sawyer Robertson. That being said, he will get his. Baylor will get theirs. They will score. And I come back to the offensive line. And unfortunately, I think there will be moments in the game where they are exposed. I do not think LSU is going to be an abject disaster on the offensive line on Tuesday. I do not believe that. I think they will have moments of very good, and then I think they will have moments of bad. And what it's going to come down to is when those moments of bad happen. When the pressures ratchet up in a high-scoring, close game like everyone is expecting, those bad moments tend to really magnify. I like Baylor to win the game, 38-34. LSU will score. They will do fine. But I just don't know if this offensive line is a complete game in them with only 3 weeks of practice before strapping it up and going there. And you're going to have some shuffling along the line with rotating guys in. That concerns me a little bit. So while I think LSU keeps pace and scores, I think it's probably from a comeback effort that falls just a little short. I could see LSU potentially falling behind early in this game and then the comeback falling a bit short. I hope I'm wrong. I would love for LSU to finish 9-4 and go into 2025 on a high note. But I also think everything that's happened in this offseason, you can't help but be excited for 2025 coming up. You have your starting quarterback returning for a second season. You have signed a beautiful top 10 class in recruiting, and you have a top 2 transfer portal class right now as well. The arrow is pointing up regardless of the outcome on Tuesday. It's a spring camp. At least that's the way I'm choosing to view it. I think Baylor gets the last laugh and does win the game 38-24. And again, I hope that.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.